at the Mint Kentucky Downs 104.5 The Zone studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans officially introduced defensive coordinator Gus Bradley and offensive coordinator Brian Dable in a press conference Wednesday. Dable commented on what excites him about getting to work with Cam Ward at quarterback.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of work to do with everybody. But, again, he's a young, athletic quarterback who has accuracy, who can make plays on the move. He can do a great job of, if the play doesn't look great and then all of a sudden it looks great because of his ability. He's smart. I look forward to communicating with him and building this thing together.
It was a jam-packed night of SEC hoops as Tennessee handled Oklahoma at home 89-66. Nate Ament tied a career-high 29 points plus 6 rebounds. Tennessee now 9-4 in SEC play. The Vols have won 8 of their last 10. And Vanderbilt trailed by as much as 21 at Missouri but stormed back to fall short. 81-80 the final. Tyler Tanner with 27 points. Vandy drops to 8-5 in conference play. Tennessee and Vanderbilt face off Saturday at Memorial Gym. Alabama and Arkansas may have played the game of the year as Bama took a 117-115 double OT win in Tuscaloosa despite Darius Acuff's 49 points for the Razorbacks. And then Team USA men's hockey yesterday moved on to the semifinals in the Winter Olympics. 2-1 the overtime win over Sweden. Quinn Hughes with the game winner. The U.S. will face Slovakia in the semifinal tomorrow. This afternoon, the U.S. women's hockey squad goes for gold as they face Canada. Puck drop is at 12:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Feels like we kind of got a loaded show on this Thursday. We had Titans coordinators yesterday. We'll get to some of the biggest takeaways. We had a Team USA overtime victory over the Swedes to advance to the semifinals. Quinn Hughes, Freebird, 2-1 in the 3-on-3 overtime. 3-on-3 hockey, the superior version of hockey. We can all agree? Yes, highly entertaining.
Yes, and Skip Bayless believes that it should come to the NHL.
That may be one of the more agreeable opinions that Skip has had in quite some time.
Oh, damn it. My mistake for assuming that you would be in on this. The NHL already has 3-on-3 overtime in the regular season.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, very good.
Skip Bayless commented on this yesterday that 3-on-3 more fun to watch, more open ice, more one-on-one shots on goal, listening NHL, and then he got community noted that the NHL already has.
He got community noted?
Yes, because it already exists in the NHL.
That's excellent.
My mistake for assuming you would know that as well, despite living in a hockey town.
How often do we talk about hockey around here? 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. And then the hockey was just the precursor to the basketball, which was electric. Tennessee handles Oklahoma very comfortably last night. At home, you go on to put down an Oklahoma team that hung around early. Very, very upset was Porter Moser, the Oklahoma coach, at the officiating throughout the course of that game. Very active on the sideline that way. And then I did not stay up for the Vanderbilt-Missouri game, but you said that was a little more lively.
Oh, yeah, crazy finish to this game. Looked like it was on track to be similar to Tennessee-Oklahoma. The Sooners, like you said, hung around, but good to see Tennessee finally just pull away and put down an opponent late. Outscored Oklahoma 44-30 in the second half. Nate Ament, it is fun to watch him just grow his confidence in real time, like game over game, watching him figure out, oh, I'm 6'10". I can take this mid-range jumper and get my shot off regardless of who's defending me 9 times out of 10, right? Those moments that in November, Nate Ament maybe wouldn't have taken that ball to the rack, maybe wouldn't have tried that step-back 3 with the shot clock going down, but he did yesterday, and he tied a career-high 29 points, had 6 rebounds, and he is the 4th SEC freshman in the last 20 seasons with at least 4 28-point performances in conference play. He joins Darius Acuff, who is currently playing for Arkansas, Trey Johnson from Texas last year, and Cameron Thomas from a few years ago. So Tennessee gets it done.
As Richard Hendricks said on the broadcast last night, 6'10" with a handle. Big problem.
Oh, yeah.
Big problem.
Big problem. So
then the game of the year.
Well, hang on. You did not see what happened at the end of the Vanderbilt game.
No, I didn't.
They were down 21 to Missouri. Vanderbilt was getting dusted in this game. They stormed back late. I mean, Robert, what was it? 7 minutes left. They were still down.
He's not back there.
13 points. Game felt out of hand for the majority of the game. Vandy goes on a crazy run in the last 5-6 minutes, comes back, cuts the lead down to 1. Tyler Nickel hits a 3 with 1.8 seconds left to make it 81-80. All Missouri has to do is inbound the basketball and either run out the clock or get fouled and go to the line. And they inbound it by just chucking it to half court, where it's easily intercepted by Tyler Tanner, who gets a half court shot off at the buzzer, and it goes backboard front iron out. Like just a wild sequence to finish. Vandy almost pulled off the stunning comeback. Instead, they dropped to 8-5 in SEC play, and Tennessee and Vandy will meet on Saturday.
The game of the year so far, because we got a loaded Saturday of college basketball, which is going to be highlighted by the number 1 team in the country, Michigan, playing Duke on a neutral court in Washington, D.C. Is there a reason that game is being played in Washington that I don't know about?
That's weird.
For some reason, the game is in Washington, D.C. But anyway, to date, the game of the year is a double overtime game between Alabama hosting Arkansas last night. This one was electric. Amari Allen was special in this one. Came out and gave Alabama the early lead. It was back and forth, high-paced the entire time. Not one of these games where no defense is being played either. It was very competitive the whole way through. It just kept coming down to the wire. I watched a game earlier this season between Indiana and UCLA that was similar, between less good basketball teams, obviously. Now, they do seem to, I don't know how much the Bediako thing on defense is impacting them, because he did seem to make an impact for them while he was available. He's since been ruled ineligible. Alabama's defense has always been suspect under Nate Oates. It's not something they necessarily prioritize.
Yeah, I would say so.
I didn't want to be too critical of them because they're obviously a very successful basketball program, but it was an awesome watch the whole way through. I was as captivated by a game that I had no rooting interest in whatsoever, and it's a critical game in the SEC, but as captivated by that basketball game as any basketball game I've watched all year long, regardless of who was playing in it.
Yeah, Darius Acuff was incredible in this game. 49 points, an Arkansas record in conference play. Philon Jr., 36 points, 7 assists for Alabama. Like, somebody just had to win this game, and the fact that it's a missed dunk at the buzzer at the end of the second OT that basically wins it for Bama. I thought there was a piece that was blocked from behind on the dunk, so I don't want to put it all on just missing a point-blank dunk. That was a follow-up, but just an absolute electric factory in Tuscaloosa. I haven't seen anybody say this. I was trying to find this last night. It's got to be up there with one of the highest-scoring games in SEC men's basketball history. I mean, it has to be. No, just the total.
Oh, you mean
117 to 115. That's an NBA final. Like, how many times has that happened?
Not in college basketball. There's very rarely that high level of offense without any defense really bogging these teams down or the teams down. I would say it's probably one of the highest scoring. I hesitate to say it would be the highest scoring basketball game in SEC history, but again, you had a player go for 49. He played all 50 minutes. And Darius Acuff. Who was the kid from Mississippi State that had 46 last night?
Oh, come on. That's Josh Hubbard, man.
He was awesome.
We've been knowing about Josh Hubbard. Like, this dude does nothing but score, and he has stayed at Mississippi State.
It was a great night of college basketball.
He had 46. Did you say 56?
No, I said 46.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about Acuff getting 49 in 50 minutes.
Yes. Hubbard had 46 and 9 boards in a win over Auburn. And Colt Kubelik had this stat. Darius Acuff Jr. with 49 points, Josh Hubbard with 46. The first day with multiple SEC players scoring 40-plus points in a game since Chris Jackson, who, went on to be known as Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Allen Houston of Tennessee. Jackson had 49. Houston had 43 against each other back on February 10th, 1990. So that long since two SEC players score 40-plus on the same day. It was a Wild, wild day.
And looks to be a wild weekend as we near the close of the regular season in college basketball. A lot of high level. Do you think that NIL has had a positive impact on college basketball in terms of keeping guys the way that we just used to lose everybody to one and done in the NBA and the G League and things like that, or Europe, because they stand to make more money? Like, I feel like we're seeing a higher retention rate in college basketball. And the
like
money
staying
obviously.
in the sport?
Yeah, staying in the sport.
Yeah,
not necessarily staying with teams. There's still obviously a high level of transfer. But, I like seeing the players come back, even if they're not playing for the same universities. I feel like we're seeing a higher level of college basketball because they weren't necessarily being developed in the one-and-done situation. I mean, the one-and-done obviously still exists, but you were seeing a lower rate of development, guys just going for the payday that professional basketball would bring. Now that they can cash in, I feel like we're seeing a higher level of college basketball across the board, even if the retention for individual programs is not, what you would like it to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure coaches would disagree with you, especially mid-major coaches who just see their roster get pilfered year in and year out anytime they develop anybody. But
I feel like I just want to pat Casey Alexander on the back sometimes, be like, it's okay, but I don't know what else you can do here.
All they do is keep winning.
I know.
But there's probably something to that. It's been a fun year, man. Huge blow for Texas Tech, though, who is a contender. Big 12 is just loaded with contenders. JT Toppin out for the year is just a massive injury in college basketball. There's been a couple now. Caleb
torn
Wilson,
ACL, right?
Yeah, torn ACL. So Caleb Wilson at UNC, JT Toppin at Texas Tech. Sucks to see these premier players going down left and right. But we'll see if the SEC race for the regular season title really starts to heat up over the next 2 weeks, or if Florida, who's sitting there with a 2-game lead at 11-2, maybe starts to separate a little bit. They're playing really, really good basketball right now. But I hope it gets interesting. These are the margins. Like, this happens every year. You can always pick 2 or 3 games and say, oh, what if? But if Tennessee had not collapsed twice against Kentucky, they'd be on a 10-game win streak right now, and they'd be tied for the SEC lead with Florida.
I saw your tweet last night.
So they would have the tiebreaker, Florida would, because they blew out the Vols in the SEC opener. But it's that what if is a tough one for Tennessee fans to swallow, with leads of 17 and 14 points in those games. Even if you just get one of them, you're sitting here having won 9 of 10, but you've won 8 of 10.
Big 12 best college basketball conference right now, top to bottom?
Yeah.
Because, you have top-heavy situations in the ACC, the Big Ten, obviously, with Michigan. Illinois dropped Indiana by 20 on Sunday, which was deeply unpleasant. But I don't necessarily think that they are one of the premier college basketball teams.
Oh, I don't think it's close
this year.
Basically, half the top 10 is made up of Big 12 teams, like Arizona, Houston.
I'm telling you, that Iowa State Houston game the other night, where Iowa State came back in the final minutes to beat Houston, number 2 in the country, just electric.
Kansas, BYU.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, like loaded conference in the Big 12.
All right, so we're going to react to the Brian Dable. We're going to play you the Brian Dable press conference later in the show. We will have Greg Cosell with a little bit of a preview of the install that we taped this morning, where we're talking about the Combine and the ways that Greg goes about scouting the Combine and how that aligns this year, this draft class, with the Titans' needs. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world, no question. So we got the Combine next week. Whole show's going to go. It's going to be a great time had by all. Greg Cosell's going to be there. We're going to have a lot of fun guests and interviews throughout the course of it. Robert's even plotting about the idea of, are we all three going to run the 40 in this particular situation?
4. All 4.
No, we can't do that to Kirby.
Why?
Kirby would dust
You don't
us.
think Kirby would run a better 40 than any of us?
No.
Oh, I think Kirby would run.
Kirby's 62.
He walks golf courses every single day. The
Yeah,
man
that's
has not
walking.
He
He's
has-
going to tear a hammy as soon as he tries to take off.
I guarantee you, I would put money on Kirby having the fastest 40 time between the 4 of us.
Yeah,
There is
easily.
no way. I'm
Easily.
going to dust you through.
You're insane.
It's not even going to be remotely close. Lucas is going to turn an ankle as soon as he tries to take off.
Nah, and I think you're really sleeping on me because they said that if you weigh over 250 pounds, you get to run down a hill for your 40.
Can there be something like some sort of dangling carrot at the end?
Like for all of us, like as
Yeah,
like whoever wins.
Loser buys first round that night.
No, hold on, I don't
meant
like that.
Literally putting like a snack or something at the end of the.
Oh, is that the way that you'll run faster?
What?
You're food motivated. It's like Pavlov's dog. He'll see a snack, a package of beef jerky, and his mouth will start watering.
Yeah,
Tighten up, anchor down says Sigs and Pepsi at the end of the 40 and Kirby wins.
Yeah, 100%.
If we lose to that old man, and I love him, and he has more athletic gifts than any of us have had in our life, but I am not losing to 62-year-old Kirby Allen Kirby. I won't do it.
He's going to outlive you.
Yeah, I don't think you have a
So,
choice.
like, I don't understand how you can be so brash and confident about
That's
it.
not okay. The difference between him being what do they call that? Preserved, like they keep the organs in those little jars after the fact to preserve them long term. The fact that his body is so preserved by whatever the hell is in cigarettes and Pepsi.
Okay, your hubris will be your downfall.
No,
in this situation.
I am going to win that. It's not even going to be close. I'm going to finish a full length ahead of the three of you.
Have you ever ran 40 yards?
Hell yes.
Okay, I'm just having a hard time picturing it.
Yeah, like it's a harder time picturing you out there playing rec league soccer.
Hell yeah.
The only evidence we have that you did that is you coming in here with a bum ankle.
You ever been a champion? No.
I am. You're to refer to me as national champion Buck Rising moving forward. 615-737-1045 is the number. All right, Cosell's going to be at the Combine. We're not going to make Greg run the 40 with us. Greg is in his 70s. That would be bad. Oh, it would be a bad idea.
Put his score together with mine.
Fitz too. Let's get Fitz to do it. Fitz would probably beat us.
Fitzy like has a professional trainer. He's been doing this kind of just horrendous weight cut situation for reasons that are beyond me, because for some reason in his 50s he wants to have abs.
He's 50?
That's mind-boggling.
He looks incredible.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Just blew my mind.
What kind of peptides is he on?
I literally would have said he's like 38.
No.
50 years? There's no way.
He's definitely closer to 50 than he is 38.
There's no way.
I bet Fitzy is at least 47.
Are you looking it up? Does Fitz have like a Wikipedia?
I bet he has a Wikipedia. I mean, hell, he was
a musician.
He was
yeah.
a touring musician for 100 years.
He doesn't have a Wikipedia.
No.
Oh, we don't even know his birthday. Based on available biological information, Jason Fitz, the former band Perry violinist and current Yahoo Sports radio host, has not publicly disclosed his exact birth date. IMDb
I think he's been lying about his age for years.
suggesting that he is likely in his 40s or older as of 2026. I would have. Okay, no. That's
He's
a different
absolutely closer to 50 than he is 40.
player. We have to ask him. Call him right now.
I mean, do you want me to?
Do you want me to call him on the show?
Sure.
Send me his number.
Well, why don't I just call him and hold the mic? Oh, he's on the air right now. Yahoo Sports Daily is currently
Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
Excuses.
ongoing. Well, yeah, he's working. We're supposed to be working too.
Oh, I have a job.
His job has less room for him to screw around the way that we screw around. Anyway, Greg Cosell, we did an episode of The Install today. We are going to give you a little snippet of that because Greg and I previewed the Combine ahead of all of us heading up to Indianapolis next week. Welcome into The Install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films. You thought it was the offseason, but that's just not true because we're going up to the Indianapolis Scouting Combine next week. Greg's going to be there. I'm going to be there. all of your favorite coaches, general managers, scouts, and otherwise are going to be there, Greg. It's one of my favorite times of year, the combine specifically, just because it's a good opportunity to get together with everybody across the league and have some conversations that you might not otherwise have on your day to day. See how other people in the league are thinking, and I know you get a lot of great work and great meetings done at that too.
No, I love the combine. It's, as you know, you've been there now for a number of years, but I remember when it first started for me. I think it was 1998, if I'm not mistaken, when Steve Sable came into my office and said to me, you need to be going to the combine. I said, okay. And
Sure,
I
boss.
think, right. And I think other than probably the COVID year, which I don't even think there was a combine, if memory serves me correctly, I've been every year. And just a little anecdotal stuff. I remember my first 4, 5, 6 years, I was a little younger then too, obviously. You know how it goes at the combine where a lot of coaches stay out really late and they, go to different spots, and I felt like for those first 4, 5, 6 years, I had to do that because that's the way you get to know the coaches, and of course, as I got a little older, I could no longer do that because then you start falling asleep in the dome, and now that there's more and more cameras, they catch people when they're falling asleep,
I think
So
they like to catch people falling asleep
I
every
know,
once in a while.
I know. And the lighting in the stadium is perfect for falling asleep, But
Absolutely.
yeah, but no, I did that, for years. I remember because I was doing that when John Gruden was coaching, and boy, he could hold court, and it was great because you get these guys just talking ball, and I would just be a fly on the wall, and you just listen, you learn, and I just started, getting to know coaches. I remember my first year. I pretty much just insinuated myself into like other conversations, but tried to stay off on the side, because I didn't want to, be a jerk about it. And I remember there was an old time scout. I'm sure he's passed away. I can't remember his name. He had to be 60, 65 years old at the time. And this was 1998. And I just remember him, talking to a bunch of younger scouts. And I'm just sitting there, on the side. And I remember with that thick Southern accent, the kind of guys I'm talking about. And he goes, what the 40 time tells you? Tells you that fast guys run fast and slow guys run slow. And I'll never forget that. I mean, and it was just so like it encapsulated it like, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty good.
It's, it doesn't have to be more high level than that.
Exactly.
Keep it simple, stupid type of deal. Yeah. So
Yeah.
to your point about, the way that this works for the audience, and obviously you and I have been doing the podcast for a number of years. I'm going to have you kind of refresh the way that you scout guys here in just a second. But to Greg's point, like these coaches and players and scouts are in meetings every night until about 11 a.m. Like things get, 11 p.m. Things get started at about 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning with the prospect availability, with some of the podium stuff that a lot of people see broadcast on television. But they're meeting with guys and working guys out and going through medicals the whole way through, which is why the combine nights get so late, because the staff gets out of their meetings at about 11 o'clock, 11:30, and they still want to enjoy the nightlife that Indianapolis has to offer as well. So you pick up some stuff during the day, you pick up a lot of stuff at night. I unfortunately, Greg, am still prone to a little bit of the nightlife at this point in my life.
Well, you're a little younger than I am, Buck. So, when I was your age, that's what I said. I was doing a little more of that and I could handle it. Now, now I need my milk and cookies and I need to go to bed, But,
they got a really good milk and cookies set up at High Velocity in the JW.
Yeah. But, for me, the combine is mostly about conversations. I do get into the dome, so I obviously see the workouts live. Some of the drills I find really interesting. Like I think the drills for corners and safeties very much reflect the way, what the traits that you need to see on the field. Some of the other drills don't. I mean, I remember sitting for years with a coach who'd been in the league for 30 plus years, incredibly respected, considered one of the best wide receiver coaches ever to coach the position. And he was still is a really good friend of mine. And I would sit next to him, he'd take his notes and he would kind of tell me stuff as we go. And he just said to me, every year he'd say the same thing. He'd say, I don't understand why we do 40s with guys in track stances. He said, why don't we put these guys in the position that they're in when they release off the line of scrimmage and then time them? He said, that just makes so much more sense. And again, we don't do that. We put them in track stances. So all these guys practice leading up to the combine in a track stance because that's, it's the 40 is, obviously the equivalent of, and I'm dating myself again, of what like the swimsuit competition used to be, for Miss America. I mean, that's the one that everybody focuses on. And sometimes it has value and sometimes it doesn't. Like I remember I was in the dome when Xavier Worthy ran a 4.21, and we know he's fast, but he hasn't played like that in the NFL. So, sometimes guys play to their speed, sometimes guys don't. I remember being in the dome when Anquan Bolden ran a 4.72, and people were like, oh, man, this guy can't play. And, he's probably a borderline Hall of Famer. I remember being in the dome when Cooper Kupp ran a 4.62 from a small school, Eastern Washington. And right away, it's like, oh, well, this guy, he's a sixth round pick. He can't play, So, and obviously I don't work for a team, Buck, so I don't get to do, meetings with players or do the stuff that teams do. So I'm sitting and watching coaching tape. But the more people I talk to every year, the more and more they say to me, you got to start with the tape. The tape tells you whether a guy can play ball.
Well, and from your estimation, because I do think it's unfortunate that we don't have, and we've evolved, I think, a little bit in the last couple of years where the drills have become a bit more positional specific, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
you've seen some of that development and the combine shifting in that direction. But unfortunately for some of these players, like to your point, I remember DK Metcalf's 3-cone drill was a huge talking point the year that he was up at Indy. And, turns out it's not that I want to say that was a discussion about hip flexibility and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
DK.
Yeah.
And it didn't, turns out DK Metcalf just fine without a good 3-cone drill time or measurement at the combine. There are things that are applicable and there are things that are not. I do think that we have at least gotten to a place where we are applying more position specific drills in these things.
And I think the other thing too is, and this is where watching tape does help, and you can take the drills and then you decide how you want to apply it to what you see on film. Is very often when I'm watching tape and guys who've worked with me on the matchup show and guys who watch tape with me, we talk about this a lot. Sometimes you see a guy on tape and you say things like, well, he's very good at what he is. Like I remember 2 years ago, Lane McConkey, okay, coming out of Georgia. You obviously know him well, SEC player. I really loved his tape, okay? But I knew what he was. Like I remember thinking, well, for what this guy is, he doesn't really have a weakness, okay? And I remember people then ripping me on social media saying, well, he can't make contested catches. He can't go up and get the ball. Well, no one in the NFL would ever consider deploying him that way. That's not who he is. Yeah. You have, so you have to, when you watch tape, you see what a guy is, and then you think to yourself, okay, it's like receivers are a great example. There's a lot, that a ton of guys catch passes in the NFL now. And that doesn't make every one of them a great player, but the game is such that, with passing games and teams throw the ball a lot, and, a lot of receivers catch 60, 70, 80, 90, some 100 balls. Not every one is a Hall of Fame receiver, right. But guys have certain traits and they can be really good at those traits, but that doesn't mean that they're great at everything, nor would a team consider deploying them in a way that is, all encompassing, as it were, So like with McConkey, I mean, no one would envision using him as a boundary X, as a guy that's going to go up and get the ball, as a contested catch guy. But for what he is, he's really, really good at it.
So Greg, as we get ready to head up to Indy collectively next week, I guess for the audience, and some people may have heard this, some people may be just joining the podcast. We get new audience members every year that we do this, and we're heading into our 6th season doing the podcast. For people who may not have heard or may not be familiar with your scouting process, understanding that you're a one-man band doing a lot of this stuff. How do you go about the process of watching college players even before the NFL season begins and then ramps up into the off season?
Well, I'm at the mercy of the system we have here at NFL Films because I don't work for a team. So I don't have the same access that teams have, because they pay a lot of money and, you know how it works. It's the NFL. I don't have that. I mean, I do work for the NFL, but I don't have that. So, for instance, with defensive players, I've got to sit and watch full games because you don't get a feel for a guy unless you watch the full game. And I try to watch 5 or 6 games of defensive players. Corners and safeties in particular, you've got to watch a lot of tape because you can't just watch good plays, let's say, because a corner could be a great corner prospect and have 8 pass breakups all season and 2 interceptions. And, and maybe he has 21 plays where he's done something. You can't just watch 30 plays and decide what the guy is. As you and I are doing this on Thursday before the combine, I'm watching Mansour Delane right now from LSU. And, I've just started watching him. I'm going to end up watching 5 or 6 games. LSU has other players on defense too. But you got to go through that. Now, different positions are different. Receivers, I tend to watch all their targets and then just pick up as I watch other things to see maybe if they can block, maybe they block, can't block, whatever. But mostly it's targets. Because receivers are not usually drafted because of the way they block. I mean, you can kind of teach a guy how to do that. I've had wide receiver coaches tell me that you can kind of do that. But, so it's different for every position. But defensive guys, Buck, you got to watch pretty much every play. You can see, one thing I've learned, you could see a defensive tackle. He could have 1 tackle in a game, and then you watch the tape, and he dominated the game, but he had 1 tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
you've seen that with Jeffrey Simmons in the NFL. There are times where he doesn't have stats, but you put the tape on, and he's just moving people all around.
Yeah, eating up blocks. Keeping guys off the second level players. Yeah. There's so many different elements to each specific position, which is why I think people can get carried away, especially now where there's a lot of Twitter dialogue and a lot of different. I would say it's our version in the NFL of misinformation a lot of times.
Yeah,
that's being put out there on a number of different fronts. So
I was just going to say, just so people understand, I don't get caught up, and I'm not saying this like it makes me smarter or better, but when I finish watching a guy, unless I learn that, this guy's a total jerk, or 3 teams have taken him off the board because of something, that I couldn't possibly know about, I don't change. I've watched him. I've been doing this a long time, which again doesn't make me right. No one's right about everybody, but I have pretty strong conviction once I watch a guy in detail. So, like if I speak to a GM at the combine and it's a guy that I've watched and he says, I really like, I spoke to a really good friend of mine who's a scout in the league yesterday, and he liked the receiver better than I did. Well, I'm not going to change my opinion on the receiver. I've done the receiver. I've watched all his targets. This is what I saw.
Yeah.
So I don't change, my opinion based on what's starting to be out there now, because obviously now is the time when there's more and more stuff out there.
Absolutely. So that is a portion of this morning's episode of The Install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films, which will later be available both in your favorite podcast feed, which is available now in your favorite podcast feed, will later be available on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel. You got an Olympic update?
I do.
Next.
Coming up on your lunch break here, maybe in 20 minutes, maybe in an hour and a half, and maybe you're thinking about where you want to go on this Thursday. Well, I have your answer. Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Doors open at 11 a.m. across Middle Tennessee, whether it's in Midtown, Broadway, Melrose, Charlotte Pike, one coming to East Nashville soon. And good news, there is a Hattie B's opening in Geodis Park if you're in the building Saturday for Nashville SC's MLS opener against New England Revolution. That's right. You can enjoy the best hot chicken in the world with Hattie B's. You can order for pickup, delivery, or, of course, dine in. Enjoy that perfect, crispy, juicy hot chicken. Hot or not, everything in between, whatever works for you. And what I love about Hattie B's is how they prioritize the sides, the pimento mac and cheese, the southern greens, the crispy, crinkle-cut fries. You cannot go wrong. My mouth is watering. I need some Hattie B's in my life. I think I'm going to open up the Hattie B's app now.
Olympic hockey on full display. The rivalry was heated. And for the breakdown of that, we go to one Lucas.
Hotter than
Zika.
Hotter than Hattie B's hot chicken. No, that's not possible. But it was heated yesterday in men's ice hockey. Now, quickly, the United States has edged out Switzerland 7-6 in women's curling. They advance to the semifinals. So let's go, ladies. Go win gold. Michaela Schifrin needs a shout out here because she won gold in women's slalom, and that ended her 8-year medal drought and it makes her officially the most decorated women's alpine skier ever at the age of 30. Very emotional for her first Olympic medal since the passing of her father in 2020, and you could see the emotion after the fact. So that was really, really cool to see. I think it'll come away as one of the biggest American stories of these Olympics.
For sure. In the absence of Lindsey Vonn, she's probably the premier U.S. Olympic singular athlete, Michaela Schifrin. And, I think she's had really good dialogue around because she was facing some adversity early on in the games, and she seemed to be really at peace with the idea of, I'm just here to compete my ass off for my country, and, good to see it pay off yesterday or earlier this week with the gold medal.
Yeah, and she had an awful 2022 Olympics in Beijing. Yeah. So big bounce back moment for Michaela Schifrin. The United States, third still in the overall medal count with 24, 2 behind host nation Italy, and 10 behind leaders Norway, who have just been cleaning up in these Winter Olympics. 16 gold medals for Norway, 9 for Italy, 7 for the United States. France, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Switzerland are all one back with 6 gold medals each. But to men's hockey, where yesterday it was legitimately insane. Yes. Even before the USA faced Sweden in the quarterfinal, Canada was on the brink. Sidney Crosby left the game with a lower body injury. Czechia was leading 3-2 in the third period. Canada able to come back, force overtime. Mitch Marner with the game-winning goal, and they survive, which means Canada moves on to face UC Saros, Erik Haula, and Finland in the semifinal because they had a comeback of their own, down 2-0 to Roman Josi in Switzerland, including a goal that Saros, just an awful giveaway behind the net, led to a Swiss goal. It's 2-0 at the second intermission. Finland battles back. They win in overtime, 3-2. So Saros and Haula, the last Predators players remaining in the Winter Olympics, they will face Canada in the semifinal for the right to play either the United States or Slovakia. That will be the semifinal matchup tomorrow at 2:10. USA 2-1 the win over Sweden in overtime. This game was electric. It was cagey. It was highly competitive. U.S. leading 1-0 in the third. The Swedish game-tying goal came with about 90 seconds remaining. Goes to overtime, 6.5 minutes to play in the extra period, 3-on-3, and Quinn Hughes finds the game winner. The celebration was on. The Hughes family all in attendance, and the United States moves on. And hopefully, we are on a collision course for the U.S. and Canada to renew their heated rivalry in the gold medal game.
You've made a lot of heated rivalry references.
It's all the rage lately.
Are you watching the heated rivalry show?
I haven't seen it, but every female, we were talking about it in the break, every female in all of our lives is obsessed with this show.
I have been warned about the very graphic sexual nature of the show. I have not watched the show. It sounds like it's very well done, but I don't know if I'm prepared for that level of, I'm not closed-minded by any stretch of the imagination, but that might be a little much for me.
People are obsessed with it, and it's legitimately created like a layer of interest in hockey in these Winter Olympics for a lot of people. I see all manner
of women on Instagram posting about going to Preds games because they want to go to the what do they call it, the boy aquarium. That's what they call it. That's what they call it in the show, the boy aquarium.
Oh, man. Marciano saying Italy killed it in speed skating. I love, the team speed skating.
It's electric.
Where they're like 4 dudes are just linked together, just zipping it around the rink. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
Apparently, there's also that in heated rivalry.
Yeah, no doubt.
You're going to tune in and find out.
So, the United States
plays... By the way, Marciano is correct. Your countrymen, your Italian brethren, they are electric in the speed skating. That was a bit of an upset for them to beat the USA.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy how good Italy has been in these Winter Olympics, again, except for the hockey, where they have just got dragged left and right. It was graphic. How heated rivalry, I don't think has really hit in Italy.
Not made it there yet.
Does not have a lot of folks signing up to play hockey, clearly. So tomorrow, USA-Slovakia, 2:10 is the puck drop. But today, the United States women's hockey team has a chance to close out what has been...
Let's go.
I'd be hard-pressed to sit here and say I know anything about the history of women's Olympic hockey, but surely if the United States ends up beating Canada today in the gold medal game, which starts at 2:10, the most dominant run by a women's hockey team in the Winter Olympics history. I'd be surprised if that wasn't the case. They've outscored opponents a combined 31-3. They haven't allowed a goal since the first game of these Winter Olympics, and they've got a chance to take it to Canada later this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sure we have fielded competitive, and again, to Lucas's point, I'm a little ignorant to the history of USA women's hockey in the Winter Olympics, but like, it's not, to your point, they're not just beating teams. They are drumming teams.
Yeah, so they have been dominant. They will play today, 2:10 p.m.
All right, we're getting a call about heated rivalry from the one female, apparently, that we have in the audience. Mary Claire is in Bellevue.
Okay, no, y'all have more females in the audience. I just want to clarify that.
No, I know. I am stunned, Mary Claire, by the amount of women that listen to this show and put up with our nonsense.
Okay, well, I just want to follow up with what you were just talking about. The USA game, it's at 12:10 today. It's local time.
Okay, so Lucas got it wrong? He gave us an incorrect time?
Yes, that's correct.
Very good.
Oh, wait.
Turn your microphone
Got
on.
to turn the mic on.
Yeah.
You're saying that I got the women's puck drop wrong?
Yes, it's at 12:10.
Oh, 12:10. Thank you, Mary Claire. Thank you for Mary clarifying my mistake.
Boo!
I can't boo
I've
him.
really never heard that one in my life, so.
That's all.
She was so unimpressed with your
That's
joke.
all, Robert.
That's why I can't boo him.
It is 12:10, which I had in my update, but for some reason I wrote down differently on my piece of paper.
You have thoughts on heated rivalry?
No, I just wanted to let you know, it's really not as graphic as you think. It's very softcore. The producers did a really good job about, like, editing and angles and all of that. So I will say that my very straight hockey-playing husband really enjoyed the show.
Okay, just to clarify, you said angles, yes?
Angles.
Angles with a G. Okay, very good.
Mary
I just
Claire,
wanted to be sure.
has it raised your level of interest in the sport? Or you said your husband plays. Were you already super into hockey?
I was already super into it, but I give my husband full credit for that because I didn't give a shit. I didn't give
No, Mary Claire! Oh. No, you can't stay on the line if you drop an S-bomb.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we
girl.
unloaded the clip. I think all of us dumped that. We still love you, Mary Claire.
Also, we now have some of our female listeners chiming into the chat, upset with me that I've alleged that there is only one woman in the audience. Jessica says, yeah, wow, I listen every day. I'm sorry, Jessica. I apologize.
So 3 of the 4 men's quarterfinals went to overtime yesterday.
What question? Robert Gottmeyer and said, I have a question for her. What were you going to ask?
What were you going to ask?
Well, I was going to ask what his favorite part was. It's like, oh, yeah, my straight hockey-playing husband, like, loves the show. Well, what's his favorite part?
Well, because if people are unaware, and none of us have watched the show, but we are tangentially aware of the fact that it is a plot line surrounding gay hockey players.
Yeah, just think Brokeback Mountain, but hockey. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So Canada is a wagon, though, on the men's side, and they will absolutely be the favorite if we do indeed see them in the gold medal game. But I believe in miracles. Do you? No? Nobody here believes in miracles. That's a shame. Un-American.
Somebody got to say something.
Ah, damn it.
You can't.
He waited us out. We probably triggered all the silence.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm about to get 45 emails.
It's my favorite thing to do to him is just let him sit there.
That wasn't even like a bad joke. I asked a question.
No, it's fine, but it doesn't mean that we can't make you feel uncomfortable by not responding to something that you say.
The F&M Bank chat says they believe in miracles.
Okay, very good.
Got to beat Slovakia first.
Is it really a miracle? Like, do they have that tough of a row to hoe?
I think the U.S. beating Canada would be a pretty sizable upset. Like, I think some folks had the reaction of being disappointed that Canada escaped an upset loss to Czechia yesterday. I think some also said, no, I want to see them in the gold medal game. If we're going to win gold, I want to do it by beating the Canadians.
All right, the women in the audience are now peppering us in the chat and reminding us that there are always a ton of female Titans fans at the install event.
All you had to do was ask me. I am very aware plenty of women listen to the show. They always let me know whenever you say something derogatory or something insulting.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Famously.
Especially off the air. Like think Sean Strickland with the UFC stuff, but like 100 times worse.
I found out about him for the first time yesterday, and I was stunned.
Yeah, what a loser.
What?
Jeez.
What the hell is that guy doing? Who keeps putting a microphone in front of his face?
You know,
Dana
Paramount was so tickled to have their logo splattered behind him as he's spewing all kinds of
especially
obscenities.
because didn't they just pay a ton of money for NFL rights, and he's just savaging the NFL?
Great stuff, UFC.
Oh, my
It's a
God.
great representation right there.
I mean, I'm down to watch the human cockfighting that is the UFC, but like, if that, I would watch solely to watch that guy get his ass whipped. Is he good?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
That's unfortunate.
He's pretty good. You know, the first thing Dana said to him was like, all right, Sean, big fight. Make sure you go out there. Don't say anything too inflammatory. Let's keep it between the navigational beacons. He just went out there and said anything you
How the hell is that allowed?
You can't cancel somebody that doesn't care about being canceled, I guess. I'm not sure.
I'm not saying cancel. Don't let him fight.
Look it up if you don't know what we're talking
You
about.
should have let him sit in it.
Egregious.
Come on.
Anyway, 615-737-1045 is the number. Could A.J. Brown be traded? There's a lot of scuttlebutt out there among the NFL insiders. We'll talk about it next.
It is 11:02. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans officially introduced defensive coordinator Gus Bradley and offensive coordinator Brian Dable in a press conference Wednesday. Dable commented on what excites him about getting to work with Cam Ward at quarterback.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of work to do with everybody. But again, he's a young, athletic quarterback who has accuracy, who can make plays on the move. He can do a great job of, if the play doesn't look great, and then all of a sudden it looks great because of his ability. He's smart. I look forward to communicating with him and building this thing together.
It was a jam-packed night of SEC hoops as Tennessee handled Oklahoma at home 89-66. Nate Ament had a career-high 29 points. The Vols now 9-4 in SEC play. They've won 8 of 10. Vanderbilt trailed by as much as 21 at Missouri, stormed back but fell short, 81-80 the final. Tyler Tanner 27 points. Vandy drops to 8-5 in SEC play. Tennessee and Vanderbilt will play Saturday at Memorial Gym. Meanwhile, Alabama and Arkansas might have played the game of the year. Bama taking a 117-115 double OT win in Tuscaloosa, despite Darius Acuff scoring 49 points for the Razorbacks. Team USA men's hockey moved on to the semifinals in the Winter Olympics, 2-1 the final in OT over Sweden. Quinn Hughes with the game winner. The U.S. faces Slovakia in the semifinal tomorrow. Meanwhile, this afternoon, U.S. women's hockey goes for gold facing Canada. Puck drop is at 12:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So it's been a couple of years removed from the trauma of trading A.J. Brown from the Titans to the Eagles. I think for the most part, people in Tennessee have moved on. You'll get gaslit every once in a while by a CBS Sports graphic being like, oh, what would the Titans be if they kept A.J. Brown? Things of that nature. Whatever. What's done is done. But as we head into another offseason, and a disappointing end to the Philadelphia Eagles season, which culminated in a home playoff loss to the San Francisco 49ers as defending Super Bowl champions before the Seattle Seahawks took that title from them. Sounds like there is legit potential that A.J. Brown could be moved again. Now, Howie Roseman was asked about this, the Eagles general manager, in his January end-of-season press conference. He downplayed it. And, didn't really give any life, any additional oxygen to the idea that A.J. could be moved. But the NFL insiders, Dan Graziano, Jeremy Fowler, and Tim McManus, who I believe is their ESPN.com Eagles reporter, have started to find more rumblings about the idea that A.J. could be moved potentially, that the Eagles would listen, and that it's not as cut and dry as, no, we are not trading A.J. Brown. Now, when Titans fans hear this, I'm sure there's a segment of them. In fact, I think there's a whole dialogue on Reddit devoted exactly to this. There is a loud minority of Titans fans that think that A.J. Brown is acquirable by the Titans.
Is there?
Have you ever taken a dip into the acid bath that is Reddit? You think Twitter and Instagram are bad, bud. Woo.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just...
It's fan stuff. It's not real.
It's like the dark depths of the loud minority.
That's where a lot of them exist. And in fact, I would say that, I don't know, Robert, you seem like a Reddit person. Like, I feel like there are benefits to Reddit, and it is a good place for fans to come together and have a community. But, the veracity of what they're talking about, the viability of what they're talking about, usually not the most... it's kind of like you're reading your aunt's posts on Facebook type of deal.
Yeah, I'm not much of a forum dude. Since they took some things away, I usually use Reddit just to peruse.
What could that be applying to?
I think there's a vocal minority if you bring up any good player.
For sure.
You want to trade for this guy? There's always going to be a vocal minority. I think any reasonable Titans fan knows, you're probably going to have to give up a first-round draft pick to get A.J. Brown.
Really?
I would think so.
I don't think you're giving up a first to get A.J. He's older, he's expensive, and he's coming off one of his least productive seasons in his career.
I mean,
not to say that, you could argue maybe a low first-round pick.
Just about every.
But I'm not talking about fourth overall.
Definitely not fourth overall, and maybe even a future first-round draft pick. But we're talking about this ESPN article, which has a bunch of trade scenarios for A.J. Brown, and damn near all of them include a first-round draft pick.
Tyler, actually many people in the chat alleging that was an insult that I hurled at Robert, that you seem like a Reddit person. No, I'm a Reddit person. I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, I understand what I'm reading is not, is super coherent. But, I don't think there's anything wrong with Reddit. I think Reddit is, it's fun to see what fans are talking about, whether it's viable or not.
So do we expect A.J. Brown to be an Eagle in 2026?
More likely than not, I would say. But if you're a team like the New England Patriots, where there's a coach who has a very, very strong relationship to this day with A.J. Brown and who is in desperate need of playmakers, so the Patriots would pick 31st. Obviously, in this year's draft, could they offer a low first-round pick for the opportunity, maybe a package to acquire A.J. Brown? I think that would make a lot of sense if you're New England. Now, does A.J. want to leave Philadelphia? Because, I don't know, A.J.'s very passive-aggressive. Even when he was here, he had some of that. Now, obviously, it's amplified to the nth degree because Philadelphia is one of the loudest and most publicized teams that's covered. And AJ in that particular media market is going to spark some flames every once in a while. But I don't know. If you're AJ, doesn't that seem like a good opportunity?
Howie Roseman was asked about it earlier this offseason, the potential of trading A.J. Brown. He said, quote, "It is hard to find great players in the NFL, and A.J. is a great player. I think from my perspective, that's where we're going out and looking for when we go out here in free agency in the draft, just trying to find great players who love football, and he is that guy."
Didn't fan the flames, didn't outright shut it down, right? He left himself enough wiggle room one way or the other. He downplayed it, is what he did.
And he went on to say, "I think when you're on when you are a team like ours that is looking forward to an opportunity to compete for a championship, you just don't get rid of guys like that."
Somebody on YouTube says, "In what world do you think Vrabel would put up with AJ? Please someone come up with how that conversation would go down." I mean, you witnessed it. AJ's not here because of Mike Vrabel. AJ's not here because of John Robinson.
Yeah, Vrabel was the one who said, "Not while I'm head coach."
Yeah, they love each other. AJ talked about suicidal thoughts while he was here, and Mike, in one of the more human moments that I think we've had in the last couple of years, talked about the care that you take with all players and how you handle guys differently. Like, they stay in touch.
Yeah, they have a great relationship, and we saw that after A.J. torched the Titans on that day in Philly, and they embraced after the game and all this.
But beforehand, too. I mean, they very much get along.
It would be interesting to see how Vrabel would handle some of the stuff that A.J. did this past season in Philly, and maybe he wouldn't do it if he was on a Mike Vrabel sideline.
I think it's a lot easier to do if Nick Sirianni is the one yelling at you on the sideline versus Mike Vrabel.
So the nerdy part of acquiring A.J. Brown. Yeah. And this is the reason I think it would be difficult for a team to stomach this. He has void years from 2030 to 2033, and in 2030 he has a $53.5 million void year cap hit. So if you're unfamiliar, and this is also kind of a blind spot for me, as I'm not all the way well-versed in how void years work or when they are acquired, but this is how I understand it. For immediate acceleration, all dead money associated with future void years triggers immediately if a player is traded, functionally similarly to a release or retirement, the cap hit timing. If the trade occurs before June 1st, the total dead money hits the team's cap in the current year, and it is the June 1st rule. If the trade occurs after June 1st, the acceleration of dead money is split between 2 years. So the total dead money is 20.9, 15.4, 11.3, 5.6. So a ton of accelerated dead money would then just wham on top of the Eagles' already tight cap space. So someone would have to agree to take on, which I don't even know if you can agree to take on,
void
years, because that is solely the responsibility of the team that signed him. So $53 million of dead money would then accrue on the Eagles' cap, which is almost innavigable. Like, we're talking about the Titans agreeing to take on Tua's contract, which is essentially $53 million, and they would be rewarded with a draft pick. But in AJ's case, they would acquire assets? Like, that's the difficult part for me. How would they stomach that money if he is traded. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and they don't even get any relief from cutting A.J. this year. So the Eagles would, I think, have a cornucopia of cap issues if they decided to trade him, which is usually the inverse.
Which is why it's hard to have this discussion without a first-round pick involved.
I'm endeavoring to find out the answer to your question, Robert. I just sent a text to somebody who I think might know the idea or the answer to, can a team acquire a contract including the void years that the first team, that the trading team is currently responsible for? Because I don't know the answer to that question.
That would be something interesting. Whoever gets to speak to Borgo, as they're calling him, I would be interested in how general managers approach applying void years to people's contracts and then also acquiring players that have void years on their contract.
Do you want to ask him that question? I kind of want you to ask him some of these questions.
I don't know. I feel like it's not about me in those situations. Like, it's about the people listening.
It's about the audience.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
These are good questions for the audience. Like,
do they really care about these nerdy things, or do they just be like, just give me good players?
Buddy,
that's where I get caught.
There are a million of you out there in the world right now. The draft and the combine and all these off-season things have become an industry unto themselves. I maintain that there is a segment of the football consuming population that likes the offseason more than like the actual games.
God, I hate how true that is.
I swear.
Like, besides opening day of the NFL, like the first game you get to watch, the first week of NFL football, my favorite days are probably the draft.
You don't think Titans fans like the offseason more than like the regular season?
Free agency. Like, it's a lot more fun. There's so much more hope abound.
So ESPN and a handful of insiders came up with a couple of hypothetical offers for AJ. So 4 teams: Browns, Bills, Ravens, Patriots. Robert, you want me to read the Ravens' hypothetical offer first?
I would love how they're going to fit that money in, but let's hear it. It probably includes a Lamar extension.
Eagles get a 2027 second-round pick, a fourth-round pick that could be conditional third, and Rashad Bateman. The Ravens would then get A.J. Brown. The explanation why the deal makes sense: one of the clear lessons of the Ravens' 2025 season was that their current group of pass catchers is insufficient. While they might not need to make this move drastically, they would benefit from having a receiver with size and contested catch ability, something Lamar has never enjoyed in his 7 seasons. Figuring out a trade return so it doesn't get into a Lamar extension, though that I think would be a fair thing to poke a hole in this. Solak's approaching this as an Eagles fan.
I don't think the Ravens do that because they also have a perilous question with Zay Flowers. His 5th-year option is going to be about $28 million. Can you afford to stomach $56 million of your cap to having 2 wide receivers? I think that would be a tough row to hoe. Plus, he's going to be 29, turns 30 in 2027. So
that's the tipping point.
Acquiring an aged wide receiver for premium draft picks is – I don't know. That's the bridge to Terabithia for me.
The only team that makes sense out of these 4 from a financial standpoint, again, not knowing all the details that Robert posed about the void years, the only team that makes sense is New England. It's the only team. I mean, they've got the money for it. And they're losing Diggs, and they need a bona fide pass catcher for Drake May on a more long-term situation, even if he is aging, especially with a coach that can handle AJ.
And their scenario proposes that New England send a 2026 first, which is 31 overall, like we said, a 2026 third and a 6th to get AJ Brown and a 2026 second. So the only one of these that does not include a first-round pick is the one you just listed for the Ravens, which includes 2 draft picks and a player.
And the deal with Rashad Bateman is he's super navigable as far as like the salary cap goes. I believe his cap hit somewhere around $11 million.
They gave him like a T. Higgins deal, didn't he? Where it's like a lot of funny money.
Well, he had an issue where he didn't show up for OTAs enough to be eligible for a certain bonus or to be eligible for, he was going to be an RFA instead of a UDFA. So they came to him and met in the middle and said, hey, you're not going to get this money for another year anyway. Let's give you some money on the front end. And they got him for a deal. Same thing that happened with Travis Jones. He was not going to be a UDFA. He was going to be an RFA. They met him in the middle and got a good cap space or a good contract out of it.
From a pure X's and O's football standpoint, Buffalo feels like it would make sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they need one, right?
But that, I don't know. It feels like a situation that could spiral quickly. I have no idea how Joe Brady's going to be as a head coach. AJ certainly would get his share of targets, though. I don't think he'd be complaining about not getting the ball in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, that they would live and die on A.J. Brown targets, especially, I mean, because their best wide receiver heading into next year is, again, Keon Coleman, isn't it?
Yeah, who the owner seems to hate. I don't know.
And the general manager is trying to wipe his hands of.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I didn't want him.
So stupid. It was the coaching staff, and then they promoted internally from the coaching staff. Okay, so the explanation that I'm getting back on the void years situation, Robert. So 43 in dead money for Philly with a trade. Void years don't have an impact on the trade. Philly, I want to make sure I can read all of this on air. Philly has been a team that uses option bonuses to manage the cap instead of restructures. So they would be inheriting the structure,
but not the void years.
but not the void years.
So Philadelphia would be stuck with those void years.
That is the question that I followed up with, and it sounds like Philly's stuck with the void years.
Yeah, because the money doesn't just evaporate. Because what he noted, they use those instead of extensions because when you restructure, you're pushing money down the line, so you would hopefully be able to sign them to an extension. Void years are kind of more player pro.
But they don't that doesn't affect their cap. That's just cash, right?
It prorates it into a signing bonus. The difference is between the two, you do not have to have a player's permission to restructure a contract because all it is doing is not taking any money away from them. Void years, you do need player permission to do because that's money that they're not going to see until hypothetically that year, as I understand it.
Brian Dable, next. You've got one life and it's too short for not nows, maybe laters, and tomorrows. If you're noticing issues with ED or performance, then your relationships, your confidence, even your career may have already been affected. Online folks promise convenience and discretion, but their treatments are generic, some even unsafe. Guys, no more excuses. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice with multiple urologists and providers focused solely on male performance. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatment. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or visit them right now online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. So we are currently navigating a new Titans policy about carrying their press conferences live, which is a bit of annoyance for us and a bit of annoyance for the audience. But I do think it's important enough for you to hear from Brian Dable yesterday. You guys played the Gus Bradley press conference?
That's correct.
Did you have any main takeaways from Gus Bradley? Both of them very clearly former head coaches in their life for how they understand how to navigate these things.
Just that it seems to be a bit of a continuation from last year in terms of how the defense will be called. Gus Bradley was the assistant head coach, but clearly was in constant communication with Robert Saleh, who was calling the San Francisco defense. So it's kind of a repurposed, different version of what they were doing defensively in San Francisco and bringing it over to Tennessee.
I did think it was interesting the way that he talked about the way that they tore down the defense in San Francisco. But I guess that's because Saleh came back for a year, probably looked around and said, okay, there's some things that because who was their defensive coordinator before? Was it Steve Wilkes? Did he get fired? Is that right?
That sounds right.
No, Steve Wilkes got fired this year.
You're saying when Saleh was the head coach of the Jets?
Yeah. Well, no. While Saleh had that time off, they had a different defensive coordinator because I think they had multiple.
What time off?
Did he have a year off?
No, he just got fired 5 weeks in.
That's right.
They were like 2-3 when he got let go.
Okay.
And then he went and helped out Matt LaFleur for the remainder. He didn't ever take a whole year off.
Okay. So I want to say that Steve Wilkes was in San Francisco the year before Saleh came back. But I know Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes, I think, was the defensive coordinator in New York this year and got fired by Aaron Glenn. Like they gave up 50-something.
Jets.
Yeah,
yes.
50-something to the, I can't remember who they played, but they gave up a bunch of points. Maybe the Bengals or something like that. Anyway, so interesting to hear Gus Bradley and Brian Dable talk. If you didn't hear Brian Dable's press conference.
Nick Sorensen.
Interesting. I'm unfamiliar with Nick Sorensen.
Yeah, it was Wilkes. It was D'Amico Ryans.
Right.
Who replaced Saleh, then Wilkes in 23, then Sorensen in 24, and then Saleh came back. So they're going on a run of 5 defensive coordinators in the last 5 years.
Anyway, Titans on a similar run of coordinators, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But this new one, feel pretty good about Brian Dable. Here's his press conference.
Looking forward to being here. So it's been a quick 3 weeks, since we've got here. We've done a lot of things, starting with hiring the coaching staff. Feel very good about the guys we brought offensively, some of which were with me, some of which were here already with the Titans, and then a couple other pieces that have been on some other teams. We've met with Borgo and his staff and went kind of through the evaluation processes of some of the things that we're looking for, position-specific, not to get too deep into the weeds with scheme. So those have been productive. We've met, all morning, every day with the offensive coaches. And when you're installing a new system, the biggest thing is to make sure that we're communicating the same way and understanding the language that we're going to use. That's been productive. We've watched a lot of tape on installations of runs, on passes, on RPOs, on move the pockets. But again, we're a little bit far away from the scheme conversation. It's just the communication aspect of it. How do we call a double team? What's the quarterback signals look like? So those have been productive. And then in the afternoon, we spent a lot of time on free agents and getting, accustomed to what's going out there in the market that will be available here shortly. So it's been a good 3 weeks. It's been a lot of work. Got to meet a lot of great people in the building here, from the video department, equipment, trainers, a lot of good people here in this building. PR, I don't want to leave those guys out. PR guys are outstanding. So it's been a good 3 weeks. Been a lot of work. That's good. We're staying right next to the facility for right now, so not a lot of drive time. And look forward to being here. Grateful to Coach Saleh, to Mike for giving me the opportunity, and look forward to working with you guys.
What kind of went into your decision-making process?
Well, you want to get the first one out.
Guys, remember to say your name and your
Buck Rising, 104.5.
Buck, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Coach. What kind of went into your decision-making process on this specifically, given that you were pretty in demand this offseason?
Yeah, I'd just say it felt like the right fit with the right people. Obviously have a relationship with Robert dating back to the New York days, but his vision of what he wants to do and how he wants to do it Mike and the vision that he has. And then ultimately Cam was a big factor. Have a lot of confidence in this young man. I'm sure I'll get asked about the pre-draft process last year, which was about this time. Had a lot of touch points with him, meetings, 30 visits, going down to Miami, dinner with him and his family. So there was a good relationship built up leading up to the draft. So I look forward to work with him. I know he's in the building rehabbing. April can't come soon enough to get going on the offensive installation part of it, but have a lot of confidence in how he played, both at Miami, Washington State. And then he had a whole year under his belt playing in the National Football League and getting accustomed to the speed of the game and the timing. And that's not an easy thing for quarterbacks. So I just felt like the right fit, Buck, and look forward to being here.
Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports.
One more time.
Jill Jelnick, Fox 17
Okay.
Sports. Nice to meet you, Coach.
You as well.
Piggyback on your conversation with Cam, you mentioned you've seen him gain confidence. What specifically about his style of play, athleticism, and skill set excites you the most when it comes to building the offense around him?
Yeah, well, we got a lot of work to do with everybody. But again, he's a young, athletic quarterback who has accuracy, who can make plays on the move. He can do a great job of, the play doesn't look great, and then all of a sudden it looks great because of his ability. He's smart. I look forward to communicating with him and building this thing together, along with the other pieces that we have in play and the pieces that we'll go get. But it'll be a collective deal. This is obviously a big piece to quarterback. I understand why you're asking it, but it's someone that I look forward to working with.
Terry McCormick with Main Street Media.
Hey, Terry.
On Cam.
No high back.
Yeah, high back.
Your face is red.
Yeah, there you go. See, I get embarrassed easily. But
Just getting started, Coach.
with Cam, when you evaluated him last year, how much of what you had in mind that you would do with him last year can you now bring in after seeing him played on film for a year?
Yeah, Terry, good question. That's something that we're going through right now. We're not there yet, schematic-wise. I've evaluated all his Washington State tape, all his Miami tape. I've watched the games that he played last year here. That's going to be a work in progress. It's the end of February. We have some time here, but again, I think he can do a lot of things. He's going to have to put the work in, which I know he will, and then we'll do stuff that he feels comfortable with. I think that's important for any quarterback, but particularly for a young quarterback. So we're kind of going through that right now, Terry. Not to avoid your question, but we're just not quite there yet.
For ESPN, your impact on Josh Allen, that was one of the more significant changes and upgrades we saw a quarterback make since coming to the league. What were some of the things you could pull from that experience in 2018, 19, 20, et cetera, to this opportunity to work with Cam?
Yeah, I think every situation is unique. Again, we've had some young quarterbacks previously with obviously Josh and Jackson at New York, but everybody's different. I don't want to just put him into a particular box. I think the most important thing is to first develop the relationship with the young man and then get a feel for how he's seeing the game. That's hard to do right now when you're not able to sit down and talk a lot of football. So I always like to see the game through the quarterback's eyes. And again, there's going to be mistakes out there that I think he's made on tape previous, and he might have a completely different answer. So that communication is really important. I learned that dealing with Josh, dealing with Jackson, but been around some veteran quarterbacks. It's a hard position to play. It's easy to sit back there and say, what the hell did you do that for? But until I can get that communication with him and go through these plays with a fine-tooth comb, iron out the details of it, we're a little bit of ways from that.
Having watched him, Washington State, Miami, et cetera, and last year, where are you from a mechanic standpoint? Because there was always a lot of talk about his footwork and getting the base better, et cetera.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with Cam. His ability to throw the football, his athleticism. Everybody's a little bit different in their drops. Everybody's a little different with their throwing motion. But I'm excited to work with this young man.
Curtis from News 2, Coach. When you
One more time.
Corey Curtis from News 2.
Okay.
Listening to your opening statement, you sound a lot like a head coach.
I'm not.
Hiring staff, meeting with the GM. How much? Robert's obviously given you a lot as offensive coordinator that maybe a lot of other offensive coordinators wouldn't get. How much of that was you taking this job?
Yeah, well, I would say this. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the job that Robert has to do from being in that. I'm very happy to be where I'm at right now and to be part of this football team as the offensive coordinator. I'm always going to be here for Robert, the rest of the staff. But, that's a hard chair to sit in, and having some experience sitting in it will help me relative to being the best teammate I can be for this staff. And this is the place I want to be. I'm excited to be here. I look forward to working with this young nucleus, working with Robert, and doing the best job I can do as the offensive coordinator.
Kuharski from paulkuharski.com. Hi.
Got your own
Yeah.
.com, huh? Read name, right?
Look forward to having you read it.
Make sure I get those blogs.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges to kind of stamping an identity on an offense as you install it while figuring out who can do what?
Sure. The first question that I would, that I throw back to anybody that uses the word identity is what's your definition of identity for you? Is it plays, or is it more, this is how we're going to play the game? Because that's the way that I look at it, so I want to make sure I'm answering your question the way you need it.
Go to when you need to get a first down.
Best play on the call sheet. No, I would say this. I would say identity for us is playing smart, is playing tough. I know Robert used fast and violent, I believe. That's an identity that you play with regardless of, is it a run, is it a pass, is it an RPO? We have to be disciplined in our approach. We got to minimize the penalties that we've had. We got to have the right attitude, which to me is a team first, positive attitude. We got to put the right work in. We got to have enough grit dealing with tough times on the field and then tough times off the field, and we have to play smart. So talking about identity, Paul, that's kind of where I lean to. The plays are the plays. Everybody's got a number of plays. We'll kind of figure that out as we go and as we add pieces. Sometimes there's certain plays that look good with one quarterback or with a skill set of receivers, a tight end, an offensive line. But our offensive line has to set the identity of playing tough and playing smart. That's where it starts, at the line of scrimmage.
What's something that you maybe believed about quarterback development 10 years ago that's changed?
It's a good question. I don't know how much has relatively changed in terms of the development of a player. Our job is to build relationships with these guys, particularly the quarterback for myself, but with the other guys. Unite a room, instill confidence, lead them, and then ultimately develop them. And there's different ways to develop, but there's mental development and there's physical development, and that's what we're charged with as a coaching staff, to make sure we're doing a good job with all of our guys, not just the quarterback, of developing these players the way we need to.
I'm Jim White with TennesseeTitans.com. Talking about Cam and the pre-draft process, everything you learned about him during the course of last offseason. What did you like about his personality, how you guys kind of jive together?
A lot. I think he's got some moxie to him. He's tough. He holds himself to a high standard, which is important for that position. Everybody's going to look to that position to be the leader of the group. And again, I wasn't around him last year. I've only seen him a few times here or there as he's going through treatment. So there's, I got a lot I got to dive into. But the meetings leading up to the draft process, the communication that we had, the kind of personalities that we have, that was a good fit.
Are you kind of a tough love type of coach? How would you describe how you will attack him, or not attack him, but teach him?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing is to build that relationship first, to figure out everybody's a little bit different. Everybody responds to different things. I think that's important for a quarterback, too, to know the 10 other people around him in the huddle and how they respond. Some people respond to, tough love, like my grandmother gave me growing up. Some people don't respond to that. So that's the challenge of a leadership position, both offensive coordinator and quarterback, to make sure we really know our guys, what makes them tick. And, I think it's well documented. I get pretty heated at times. That's who I am.
Steve Lambert from News Channel 5, welcome to town.
Thank you.
Brian, Robert said in the introductory press conference, one of the things he liked about you is your offense is a little bit different than the norm of what so many teams are running, without opening up the playbook. Can you describe a little bit of your philosophy of what makes your offense a little different?
Yeah, I think, look, everybody's got a lot of the same plays in the National Football League. It's how you window dress them. It's the tempo that you want to play with. Again, we're not there quite yet. We're kind of learning how to speak the same language with people in the room that have been here, some new pieces. We want to play fast. We want to play physical. We want to play with a certain edge to ourselves. We want to not lose the game by doing dumb things. But those are the foundational pieces relative to scheme or motion or no huddle. You know, we have all those things. I think it's dependent upon how the players can handle those things as well, too. It's no good putting in a bunch of stuff if your players can't handle it. So we're, looking forward to getting these guys here as soon as they can get here.
Lauren Walsh from WSMV Channel 4. I'm curious what your self-reflection process was like post-Giants and leading to now to where you said this was the exact position and place you wanted to be.
Yeah, I think, look, this is my 26th year in the National Football League going into it. You do that every year at whatever stop you're at. I think the most important thing is to be where your feet are at. And it's here at Tennessee, tighten up, as they say. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of things I've learned away, whether it was a defensive assistant, a quarterback coach, a receiver coach. You try to do a better job in the next place you're at. And my role is to try to, help our football team be the best offense we can be under the direction of Robert, which I think is very important to take the lead from the head coach. So, again, we're excited. I think all the coaches downstairs are excited. I did tell Randy Jordan, I said I would get up here and say the sole reason why I came to Tennessee is because Randy Jordan was the running back coach. So I wanted to put that out for him.
Brian, mix us with the Tennessee.
All right, very good. That was the bulk of it. A lot of Cam questions. You can tell that both of them have been head coaches before. Brian Dable, very comfortable navigating the Vultures here in Nashville after several years in the New York media. So we can react to some of what he said. There's also a follow-up in there about Calvin Ridley that we did not get to, but we can talk about next. Would you keep or cut Calvin Ridley in 2026? 615-737-1045. I'm Buck Risings, 1045 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. All right. Calvin Ridley. He is an interesting figure. He's a polarizing figure, let's say, at any situation. When he first got here in 24, last season, largely unavailable and inconsistent when he was available. And now heading into 2026 with this season and next season technically under contract. Given the current situation for the Titans and their skill position players, where you do have Chimere Dike, you do have Alec Iamaner, are we counting Bryce Oliver, who did not participate offensively, is more a special teams player than anything, but is an interesting kind of like off to the side thing? Are we counting Bryce Oliver? Does a Bryce Oliver count more than a Xavier Restrepo or a Mason Kinsey to a Titans fan?
What do you mean by count more?
Like, do you consider him more viable than the two guys who probably don't have any business being on a regular season roster if your roster is healthy?
Well, yes, because he's the only one that has been viable in any way.
He has, but it's a very small sample size. Like, I don't know how many Titans fans are going into the offseason considering Bryce Oliver a meaningful part of their wide receiver room.
Right now, he is.
Okay.
If he had been healthy last season, he would have been on the active roster just about every Sunday.
I would think so. I'm assuming that is the case. We didn't get the opportunity to see it. It feels like a safe assumption, though. So Ridley's contract is maneuverable. The cap hit is higher this year. Well, it's down from 28 for what it's worth. So it was 10 mil the first year, 28 last year, 26.45 heading in to 2026. He's got a base salary of 20.2, and he's got some additional prorated signing bonuses and roster bonuses on top of the guaranteed salary that he's got. His guaranteed salary is very, very minimal. It is $3 million this year. So as a pre-June 1 release, they would eat $13 million to move on from Calvin Ridley. Should they do it after June 1st, they would eat, it says here on Over the Cap, just a little over $8 million. Is Calvin Ridley so unreliable that in a room with hardly anything proven as wide receivers, Chimere Dike is absolutely a proven commodity as a special teams player. I do not believe him to be, set in stone as a bona fide, legitimate wide receiver option for the Tennessee Titans on offense. Do you think that's unfair?
Again, he is right now. Like
because of who they got.
Yeah, like I have a really hard time saying that before the Titans have added anybody or drafted anybody.
Alec's on the roster, but I don't think of Alec Iamaner that way.
But he also is right now. And these are not players that. So you just envision Alec Iamaner and Chimere Dike not being a part of their plans on offense?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't know definitively. Yeah, in 2026 they don't have a choice, right? Like in the immediate. They don't have a choice. I don't know how long-term viable somebody like Alec Iamaner is. I know this year they have no choice. They need him.
Well, I don't either, but I think they're looking at it more as you had a pair of fourth-round draft picks that made an impact as rookies and are on a developmental path where they will be contributors moving forward.
Yeah, ideally. Sure.
I don't think...
But I don't know anything definitively about the long-term viability for the Tennessee Titans in Alec Iamaner and Chimere Dike. I'm still, we're learning.
Yeah, they're not proven yet because they've played 1 year of NFL football.
Correct. So, Ridley is what you have in those two, and theoretically Bryce Oliver, who's a big question mark, enough for you to be comfortable drafting a player, probably adding a wide receiver in free agency, and moving on from Ridley? Or is Ridley worth keeping just for the experiment of, we don't have bodies, this guy's played in the NFL, he's worked with this offensive coordinator before. Again, it's been 100 years. 2017 is 100 years ago since Calvin Ridley and Brian Dable were together at Alabama. And Brian Dable kind of sidestepped any questions about specific roster construction other than to say, I know Calvin, enjoyed working with him. He's had a good NFL career. Look forward to continue to work with him. That was the sum of the Dable thing. And a lot of people, like a lot of these fan accounts on social media, aggregated that as if Calvin Ridley was a sure thing to come back in 2026, which I don't know at this point in time. I don't know that he's back. I don't know that he's not. Would you keep Calvin Ridley or would you cut him? I'd keep him. I think Calvin Ridley is salvageable enough, but they definitely need somebody more reliable for Cam, whether that becomes Gunnar Helm or Chimere Dike or whomever they add in the draft or free agency. I don't think Calvin Ridley is completely useless in this situation because his money's not crazy.
It's not a good trend that he's a 31-year-old receiver that just had, was it the most injury-plagued season of his NFL career? He played in only 5 games in 2021.
Was that the year that he got suspended?
But no, that was the year he stepped away due to mental health reasons.
Right.
In October. So that was not an injury-related thing. He only played in 7 games this season, the fewest amount of games that he's played for injury reasons. Okay. So that's not a good trend, but if there's not a clear-cut replacement there, wide receiver 1, a player that can stretch the field, then, yeah, I don't think it's a crazy amount of money to take on. Like, I don't think it's the risk that greatly outweighs the reward around Calvin Ridley.
Because the reward is you actually get something out of Calvin Ridley.
The question is, are you going to find your long-term replacement for that spot this offseason? And if you're not...
It just depends on how the draft and free agency falls, right? Like, nobody is saying that they are building a Super Bowl team in 2026. That this offseason will put them over the top as far as Super Bowl contention goes, right? We are all in agreement on that. This is about figuring out your long-term plan to help Cam Ward succeed and ultimately strive to compete for the Super Bowl. To your point, somebody in the chat says, Ridley is a car with the check engine light on, not reliable. Cut your losses and sign 2 in free agency and draft one. I still think you sign one in free agency and you draft one. I'm just saying, is Calvin Ridley, look at the wide receiver class in free agency. It's not filled with studs. There's nobody who's a surefire thing, and Calvin definitely has a more proven resume. Now, that doesn't help him in 2026, what he's done versus what he will do. And your point about an aging wide receiver, because he's going to be 32 in 2026. He's
in December.
He's getting up there.
It'll be like week, 16?
Oh, that late in December.
Yeah, December 20th.
Okay. Either way, past 30, the check engine light is an applicable metaphor for wide receivers. Except if you're DeAndre Hopkins, who's ageless at this point in time. So we are in agreement that he's worth keeping. That he's not going to cost you much more, like $26.45 is his cap hit.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you just have to get him off the books. Whereas L'Jarius Sneed is the total opposite version of that conversation. Like, it's hard to, even with a cornerback room that has virtually no answers beyond potential of a 6th-round draft pick who's coming off his rookie year, even still, you say, man, it's hard to really sit here and justify keeping L'Jarius Sneed. That's not the case at all for Calvin Ridley. I don't think that's the conversation.
No.
Where you would look at it and say, I just don't know how you keep him.
There is no argument that exists, to me anyway, in keeping Sneed, other than you simply have no other corners besides your 6th-round pick, Marcus Harris, under contract, and you just need bodies to throw at the thing. I don't know. He's been such... is it fair to call him a detriment, Sneed? Like, Calvin's not a detriment. I don't know how much you can rely on him necessarily, but I don't think Calvin's a detriment. He's not a bad locker room guy. And you hear good things about Sneed. You hear bad things about Sneed. And obviously the off-the-field stuff lingers like a bad smell.
The Sneed experience in Tennessee has been a net negative. Yeah. No, I don't think that's even close.
I think the real detriment would be if you expected him to come in and play and you drafted players and he was a roadblock from the players you drafted or acquired in free agency and you kept him.
Ridley.
That would be a detriment. No, Sneed. That's who you're just talking about, right? Sneed?
Yeah.
So
we're talking about both of them, but we have then moved on to Sneed. Yeah.
Sneed would be a detriment if you planned on him playing and didn't. And then Sneed would also be a detriment if you didn't release him but also invested in the draft and he was a developmental roadblock for another corner. That's where I would say he would be a detriment.
You're going to have to draft 9,000, add 9,000 corners anyway. Why add to the list of needs that you have by cutting Ridley is my position. Especially because him and Cam get along. Like, I know that it didn't work the way that everybody thought it was going to work in the onset, but I'm not I personally am not ready to give up on the Calvin Ridley experience for where this team currently is. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. All right, Gus Bradley, the other coordinator, the less discussed Titans coordinator, hinted at something that the Titans desperately need as far as what the new Titans defensive staff is looking for. So we'll get to that coming up next.
12:03, good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. It was a jam-packed night of SEC hoops. Tennessee handling Oklahoma at home, 89-66. Nate Ament tied a career-high 29 points plus 6 rebounds. Tennessee now 9-4 in league play. They've won 8 of 10. And Vanderbilt stormed back from down 21 but fell short, 81-80 the final at Mizzou. As Vandy drops to 8-5 in SEC play. Tennessee and Vanderbilt facing off Saturday at Memorial Gym. Team USA men's hockey moved on to the semis in the Winter Olympics, 2-1, the OT win over Sweden. Quinn Hughes, the game winner. The U.S. will face Slovakia in the semifinal tomorrow. This afternoon, the U.S. women's hockey team goes for gold as they face Canada. Puck drop is at 12:10. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
All right, final hour is upon us. We're happy to have you. We were happy to have the Titans coordinators at a podium yesterday. I know you guys heard from Gus Bradley yesterday. You heard from Brian Dable today. But I want to circle back to something that Bradley said, because what did we determine was the most pressing need for this roster, be it draft, be it free agency, be it both, heading into the 2026 season? It's edge. They need a pass rush. Jeff needs help. Cam needs a defense that can get off the field and give him more opportunities to take cracks at the end zone. I'm not saying that it so much far above and beyond supersedes playmakers on offense for Cam Ward that you can neglect the wide receivers or the running backs or anything like this. But definitively, Jeff Simmons needs more help. A cheat code defense with a defensive-minded head coach in Robert Saleh would help you in a lot of different situations that Cam Ward did not have that help in last year because his defense couldn't stop a nosebleed for periods of time. Now, as we talk to Gus Bradley, Lucas, what is the biggest question that you have about Gus Bradley as a non-play calling defensive coordinator?
I don't really have one, to be honest with you.
Which is fine.
You
don't have to.
I don't have any, large questions or concerns about Gus Bradley to come in here and be essentially a lieutenant with Robert Saleh on his defensive coaching staff.
No, I wouldn't say maybe just general, questions is the way that I would categorize it, because I don't think most football fans think he's just like a babysitter for Robert Saleh on the defensive side of the ball. They've got a history working together. They were obviously together last year in San Francisco, and he gave some comments to the effect of how they bounced ideas off one another, and so much saying, I give Robert suggestions. Sometimes he takes them. Sometimes they don't. We're here to challenge each other in the way that we think about the way that the defense is executed and called. But one question that was fair to pose, and he took a bit of a general approach to this, but I think it was Nick Suss asked Gus Bradley about what they are looking for in edge/defensive ends in this current defense. This was Gus Bradley yesterday at the podium.
You know what? I think that just talking in general terms, I think that one end is maybe an end on first and second down, and then might have the ability to slide inside on third down, where the other end is maybe a true rusher. He's on the end, first and second down and third down as well.
And in the dirt most of the time.
That's what we're looking at, all those things right now. What's the best for our personnel, and we're in the beginning stages of just looking at that big picture.
So, in concept, it is more of a 4-3 defense than what the Titans have run in the last couple of years. Now, they still had 2 down defensive linemen on most plays. They still had 2 guys rushing off the edge. Every defense wants to get home with 4 so you can free guys up in coverage and make offenses have to think a little longer. But when he starts talking about generally prototypes for what they're looking for, all right, so one guy's just a pure pass rusher, and the other guy is somebody who can give you, set the edge on first and second down, give you contain on first and second down. And then if you got to bump him inside on a NASCAR package on third down, that's the kind of player. They want that kind of versatility from the players that they're talking about. Now, people immediately started guessing about which draft prospects that was hinting at or who that might apply to based on the skill set. Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Reuben Bain, right? How those guys fit into what it is that Gus Bradley said. Robert, you and I were talking about this before the segment started. That also applies to guys who are pending free agents like Jihad Ward and Draymond Jones, who was here last year. Draymond Jones very much fits the bill of a guy who's going to rush on first and second down, and then if you have to bump him inside on third down, he can do that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I would also heavily encourage them to look in depending on where they go in the first round, they may not need to look in the second round, but I think there are a number of guys who fit that kind of size and shape model. I was talking with Zach yesterday, and I'm going to use a phrase that I despise, but we were talking about his guys and who he likes and who Stoney likes.
You were railing about his guys yesterday.
I like this guy. If he's good, make sure you credit me with him being good.
Like, I just hate the my guys thing. It's so dumb. Like, oh yeah, if this guy's good, remember I said he was going to be good. Like, it's all ego driven. Everyone that scouts or looks at these things that does that is like, hey, remember that I said this. Remember, shut up. That's not why we do this.
I think we all have at least one person on social media that we've probably seen that comes to mind.
Yeah, well, I usually block or mute him. But a guy that comes up a lot when he was describing that guy, he was the first guy I thought of, Zion Young out of Missouri, who maybe doesn't have like the full size that you would want. He's not like the stockiest dude at 6'5", about 260. We'll get official measurements next week. I'm so excited. But he's the guy who you could put out there to set the edge on early downs and then potentially bump inside on third downs late to get someone out there who is really a true get-off. Like if you got David Bailey and this dude on a package and Jeff, you're getting after him. If you wanted a fatter dude or a thicker guy, LT Overton out of Alabama, he's kind of got that versatility where he could slide inside. I wouldn't necessarily love him on the outside because he is 278, but he fits that mold. Maybe a dude that plays first and second down outside to fight the run.
Did you guys talk at all about what Gus Bradley said on T'Vondre Sweat? So I'm going to read you the quote because he's asked specifically about this. I think Easton asked this question. The scheme fit of T'Vondre Sweat, given that he is more a 3-4 true nose than he would be a defensive tackle in a 4-3 defense. And Gus Bradley, now, again, I would defer to smarter football minds than me on that. We can ask people like Cosell about that. We can ask guys like Todd McShay and other people that are going to be at the Combine about Sweat specifically, who scouted him, who know him, and who know the kind of fit that he plays in. So it's a longer quote here, but it's kind of non-committal on Sweat. To be honest with you, right now we're talking about staff. We're going through scheme. We're giving the scouts a good idea of what each position looks like. We had conversations. We're really excited about all the guys. I've always believed that when you come into a new situation, the previous staff has done a good job. There's obviously some good things that have taken place with them. Our job is to continue to add to what they've done and build on it to take it to another level. Basically, it goes on at some length, but what he's saying is, well, we're thinking fresh start for every player. Is that a good thing for T'Vondre Sweat? It depends on how he takes advantage of it, right? It depends on the training that he does with Jeff. It depends on how willing he is to do things that he may not, have necessarily done in different styles of defense. I defer to the closest thing to a Titans fan we have on the show, Lucas. Where are you on T'Vondre Sweat?
I mean, he's an extremely important player for them. And it's like the Femi Oladejo conversation. And we've seen a little more from Sweat than we have Femi Oladejo, but
he's played more, yeah.
It's extremely important that T'Vondre Sweat takes another step next to Jeffrey Simmons this season. And I don't think...
Well, it would be extremely beneficial if he did. If they decide that that's not the direction that it's going and they want to move him, is that a bad thing?
Like at the trade deadline?
Sure. Or, I wouldn't say before. If they're actually going to do the fresh start thing, I would be stunned if they made a move before the deadline. If we got to the deadline again and it gets loud again around Sweat the way that it did this year.
Yeah, the whole Sweat arc has been very interesting. Obviously drafted by Rand Carthon, had the injury that held him out for a good chunk of last season. I didn't think Sweat was a net negative when he was on the field last season. I thought he played pretty decently. But you drafted him to be a second-round pick. The challenge of losing the weight, to his credit, he did not have issues that were projected around him, right? So many of the red flags around him have not necessarily been a big problem. He just hasn't been, I would say, a huge difference maker for them up front. So I think T'Vondre Sweat still excites Titans fans for what he can be in this Robert Saleh defense
And
in 2026.
he is, like, again, it's the idea of him, right? And Robert told me in my ear that he graded out fifth best among defensive tackles. And again, that's not scheme specific, right? We're not talking about like a nose versus a 3 and all these different things.
No. All of the defensive linemen are glommed together.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was on the field, he was overall a positive player for the Titans in 2026 when available.
Their concern is not just the on-the-field part. Their concern is the fact that there was a lot of dialogue, not publicly, last year leading up to the trade deadline that he doesn't work hard enough. And that they want, and so, listen, there are some players who are not practice players, and there are some players who just show up on game day. But I think under this current administration, if you are a player who is just going to show up on game day or make your greatest impact on game day, which of course is important, then you got to be better than he's been. Like, you got to be more impactful than he's been.
And I think that's notable when you look at his total snaps. 380 total snaps, 200 against pass rush, 180 against run defense. His total snap ranks 99th out of 134 eligible defensive linemen. So, like, obviously, we already noted that that's all of them bundled together, but you would hope that he would have more availability. And I know part of that's due to injury, but part of it's also due to stamina, I would imagine. Like, if he could meet in the middle on both of those and be in the top half of defensive linemen, I think that would be exceptional. I need to look at what who was the big fat fatty? Jordan Davis. Let me see what Jordan Davis did for the Eagles.
You know what? To his credit, though, he missed basically all of training camp, came back in and busted his ass in the Denver game. And that's an elevation for a guy that size. Like, he didn't really get a lot of work in. And that was, I remember standing on the sidelines talking to somebody with the team in Denver, talking about, if we can just get him going during a week, we can really, it felt like maybe he could have been ready to participate before. And this is an assumption by me. This is not, it just felt like they were messaging, we would have liked to seen him on the field, giving us more effort in the lead up before we actually got to the game. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. Let's talk about what Titans fans should expect from Brian Dable in year one with Cam Ward. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
there are some conversations that we can have a different version of pre-free agency and draft, and then come back around to it post-free agency and draft when we have a better idea of what the Titans personnel is actually going to look like in 2026, which we don't have a terribly good idea of at this point in time. But it doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about what Titans fans should expect from Brian Dable and the Titans offense in year one of Brian Dable, year two of Cam Ward. Just that marriage specifically. What is the baseline expectation of success for Brian Dable and Cam Ward, given his history of working with young quarterbacks, of bringing out the best in young quarterbacks throughout the course of his NFL career and the 1 year that he spent at Alabama? So how do we want to compartmentalize this conversation, first of all, with Brian Dable? Keeping it to Cam Ward? How do we define success for Cam Ward in 2026 as it relates to his play caller and one of the key figures in his development this season?
Well, we got a lot of work to do.
That's okay.
I'd rather hear from Dable. Let's do that.
That's fine. We can do that.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of work to do with everybody. But again, he's a young, athletic quarterback who has accuracy, who can make plays on the move. He can do a great job of, if the play doesn't look great, and then all of a sudden it looks great because of his ability. He's smart. I look forward to communicating with him and building this thing together, along with the other pieces that we have in play and the pieces that we'll go get. But it'll be a collective deal. This is obviously a big piece to quarterback. I understand why you're asking it, but it's someone that I look forward to working with.
So that is Brian Dable talking about Cam. In the portion of the press conference that we played for you earlier, he basically led off with talking about, we went through the word that Borgonzi used and that Dable used is touch points. Every pre-draft touch point that the Titans did with Cam, so did the Giants. They met with him. They met with his family. They had dinner with him in Miami. They went to his pro day. They did all of the things. They were fully prepared to draft Cam Ward should the Titans have been ready to make a deal for that number one overall pick. Ultimately, they didn't. They took, was Dart 25th, 27th?
26.
Okay, split the baby. So the 26th overall pick, they end up taking a quarterback anyway. Dart, in some metrics, did outperform Cam. The baseline for them, because Dable should have a Cam Ward plan. All you got to do is dust off his notes.
No, I like that. He spent months talking to fellow coaches and front office members and to Cam Ward specifically about how he would utilize Cam Ward in the Giants offense if they were able to pull off that trade, which they were not. And full circle moment, here he is coaching Cam Ward in 2026.
So there are going to be some moments for training wheels, right? Because I think it should, at least the way that I would approach it and will approach it is I am willing to give Cam a degree of grace for the first month of the season as he gets acclimated to a new offense with a new play caller and a lot of new things. There will be some that's holdover, but there will be a lot of new, right? So I think the first 4 games, let's say, all right, let's have the feeling out process. And if he excels, if he overachieves, great. If he falls short of what we saw last year, I think there's probably going to be some commentary around that, but I'm going to be a little softer on Cam for the first 4 games of his regular season with Dable. I do think that beyond that, once we hit October, I want to see mid-level NFL quarterback play consistently, week over week. I want to see him operating within the scope of the offense. I mean, I understand that these are very baseline functions that we're talking about, but I want to see, the 15th or 16th best quarterback in the NFL by mid-October. Is that unfair? And you can judge that by however many metrics you want, whether it's passing yards, whether it's touchdowns, whether it's third down efficiency as an offense. Some are team, some are player specific. But I'd like to see him be a middle of the pack quarterback by the time we hit at the latest November.
Yeah, the truth is, whether fair or not, determinations on a quarterback start to be made, I would say, in year 2.
Sure.
Rookie years can be taken for what they are. You don't punt on a quarterback after his rookie year starting, regardless of what the performance looks like. But year 2 is probably where you start to formulate an opinion, which doesn't mean that that's the best way of doing things, as we've seen with Sam Darnold and all these reclamation projects. But that's just kind of the reality of it, right? It felt like midway through year 2 of Bryce Young in Carolina, this isn't looking good. And then he came back off the bench and led them on a nice late season charge where you thought, oh, we might have something here. And then year 3, they're hosting a playoff game and they're division champs. So, yeah, no, I think it's very reasonable to say at the very least you want to see Cam Ward in the top half of starting quarterbacks in the NFL in year 2 under Brian Dable.
You said in the top half?
In the top half of starting quarterbacks. Isn't that what 15, 16 is?
Yeah, 15 or above. I don't think that's unreasonable. Like, I think that this should be, it's never seamless, right? Rarely does everything in the NFL go to plan the way that you need it to go to plan or want it to go to plan. But I do think that this is a particular situation that sets up well for a coach that was very much prepared to work with him last year to now get his real crack at things. It was, you think Callahan and Dable are swapping quarterback notes? Where Callahan is in New York.
Point.
They
literally just traded places.
And, I mean, obviously, Callahan's not going to call the plays. It's just New York, the Giants are going to be interesting, right? Are Titans fans going to be kind of like, occasionally glancing up, seeing what the Giants are doing with Matt Nagy and Brian Callahan?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. I'd be curious.
That's for us to do.
Sure. So baseline year 2, by mid-October, be top half of the league, whatever that looks like. But you cannot be one of these. Last year, I think it's fair to say, he was largely not good in a very bad situation because the situation around him was horrendous. And there was moments where he overcame it, but those moments were few and far between until we got to the last month of the season. It started to iron itself out a little bit. But for the most part, Cam Ward's season was not what anybody would call good. Now, how you can do that while also elevating the things around you and the other pieces and parts that they continue to support you with elevate you, I got a reasonably high expectation, if for no other reason than we'll see how it goes this year, but I think Brian Dable is so pre-hired somewhere next year. I mean, that dude, he just head coach vibes. And I know it's because he's been when he's handled New York and all these different things, but like if Brian Dable was one and done here, I would not be stunned at all.
And I don't even think he has to have such a slam dunk of a banner year offensively to get a head coaching job. We literally saw it happen right here with Matt LaFleur. And I think that was a much more surprising situation. I think most of us were caught off guard that Matt LaFleur got the Packer job, even though he had interviewed for multiple head coaching openings. Nothing about the Titans offense in 2018 screamed, hey, go get that guy. But clearly he had been on a lot of teams' radars, and he got that opportunity. Dable is a much more prominent name than LaFleur was at that point.
Yeah.
We've seen a large sample size of him as a play caller and as a head coach that started hot and didn't end well. So, Titans could be a 7-10 football team, and the offense improves but doesn't light the world on fire, and he could be gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, LaFleur with the Titans were they 9-7? Because this was before we had the 17th game in 18, and then they missed the postseason because Mariota not healthy scratch, but he was a scratch day of that.
The Colts game.
Week 17 winning in.
Yeah, it was the Colts game, and Blaine Gabbert started winner take all in the AFC South.
Jayon Brown tried to win the game himself.
Yeah. Dable was considered a pretty serious head coaching candidate in this past cycle. What would have to happen in 2026? How bad would it have to be for suddenly teams to not consider him a good head coaching candidate?
Oh, it would there would have to be a lot of these people like Dan Orlovsky or Chase Daniel, a lot of former NFL quarterbacks breaking down what the Titans offense were doing and be like, this play caller is not helping this quarterback the way that this quarterback needs to be helped.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that's not fair, right? I think there's holes to be poked in some of the analysis that even the former NFL quarterbacks provide, but there would have to be a clear and obvious understanding from people that played the position that this quarterback is not excelling because this play caller is not helping him the right way.
Which is not something that has probably ever been said about Brian Dable as a play caller.
Not to this point in his career.
Yeah, well, at least not since the Alabama tenure. It's weird. He's got a first half of his career where he had a few offensive coordinator stints on some really bad teams with Brady Quinn and Chad Henne playing quarterback. And then he's got this second half of his career where he has called plays for Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen and Daniel Jones and Jackson Dart and now Cam Ward. So it would have to be a pretty severe drop-off offensively. It would have to be a pretty bad year offensively for Dable to suddenly get erased as a head coaching candidate when it came down to the wire for him to be a head coach in this cycle.
615-737-1045. Where are you setting the bar? Again, understanding that we still have free agency to go. We still have the draft to go. Hell, we haven't even gotten to combine, even though it's less than a week away. Now that you have heard Brian Dable talk about Cam Ward, where is your baseline expectation as we sit here on February the 19th for Cam Ward with Brian Dable? 615-737-1045. Outside of that, he was also asked about some of the other pieces on offense. Nobody asked him about Levis yesterday, which I was thinking about it, but he had already kind of deferred a couple of times on specific personnel questions, though I do think, if Brian Dable can turn Will Levis into something that's viewed as viable elsewhere in the NFL, it's a conversation worth having. Maybe not at his first press conference that he's ever had. Apparently, Dawn got mad at us for the conversation that we were having yesterday. She was also getting her feedback from people on Twitter that were narking on us, saying that we were savaging Dawn Davenport, which is, of course, not true. But apparently she had some strong thoughts on our position that Anthony Davis was probably a more viable option.
You mean Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Davis. Anthony Richardson. More viable. I'm surprised I've never done that before than Will Levis. How many foundational pieces besides Cam do they have on offense right now?
Foundational pieces, Skoronski.
DK. I'd say DK.
Yeah, I'm with you on DK.
Yeah. Hopefully Latham.
If you got to put hopefully in front of it, I would agree.
I think he should be.
In principle, he seems to be on the right track.
Yeah. And I'd say Gunnar Help.
TBD.
What does anybody have the definition of foundational?
It was actually surprising to me to hear Mike Borgonzi answer this question. I think this was at the season's end, maybe after they fired Callahan. I can't remember. Where he defined it basically as 4 or 5 at most players on a roster total, not on either side of the ball. Because, I think Terry McCormick asked him the question. He just says, what do you think, 15? Or do you think 20? It's like, there's 4 or 5 guys that you consider foundational, and then you try to maneuver around those 4 or 5 guys for the purposes of contracts and all these different things.
Interesting.
So if you narrow, because think about the Chiefs. How many foundational pieces did they have? Chris Jones, Mahomes, Kelsey,
Rice, when he's not.
You're talking about this.
Over the term, Mike Borgonzi was there for 16 years, right?
I mean, you have to include Tyreek. He's a huge reason for this success.
I would include Tyreek as one of those, but even then, they didn't consider Tyreek foundational because they moved him.
Nick Bolton.
They got to haul back. I'm just saying it's far fewer than probably the average fan associates. I think most people would say, somewhere around 10.
Yeah, right now they're probably going to extend Skoronski, give him a big deal. So I'd say Ward, Skoronski, Jeff. And if we're limiting it to 4 or 5, that gives you 1 or 2 more to play with there. Hooker?
I think Hooker.
Yeah.
A lot of Titans fans down on Amani Hooker after last year. I just think he had that one Kevin Byard year where there was nothing around him and KB didn't have his best year. Which, by the way, Byard a free agent?
Yeah.
Interesting. Be curious to see where that goes. Let's go to Zach in Chattanooga.
Hey, Buck. For my prediction for next season, don't get your hopes up. 3-14 till proven wrong. But my other question is, is there a world where the Bills just stink so bad that they fired Brady after 1 year and hired Dable?
Oh, he's just like, our bad. I don't think you're ever going to, unless Josh Allen has a season-ending injury of consequence, I can't imagine a situation where Joe Brady is one and done with Josh Allen as his quarterback for 10-plus games, at least, right? Like, the Bills may take a step back. They won, 13 wins last year? 12 wins last year?
Sorry, who?
Buffalo. He's saying could the Bills crater, like Titans-level crater, fire Joe Brady, hire Brian Dable?
Oh, that would tickle me.
What, if the Bills poop themselves?
Yes.
Yes.
If the repercussions for their actions came back and bit them.
And it's just a Gerard Mayo situation.
Yes. Well, I don't want him to figure it out now.
Josh Allen would have to get hurt for them to
sucks
truly crater.
that's what were you looking at when I said that exact same thing?
I mean, to Lucas's point, he would have to get like hurt.
What kind of food is he looking at? Because we're getting dangerously
Every
close.
time
Robert.
you ask that question, I wish I could tell you the speed in which the browser that he has open closes.
Like it's almost like you catch a kid watching porn or something like that.
Just looking at
the way that he scrambles to get
like
the menu.
tacos.
It's a pop-up. I don't know how this happened. I'm sorry. I didn't do this. I swear.
My computer automatically downloaded it, Grandma. I don't know.
It's like an Italian Philly cheesesteak.
What are all these pictures that have been printed off? What do you?
Parents sit you down with a manila folder full of printed out pictures, and it's all just like wings and burgers.
That's how I got caught.
Oh, really? Your first time?
She printed stuff out?
No, I printed stuff out and left it in the tray.
Printed it
I
out?
was like, I was 12.
We had LimeWire when we were 12.
I was trying to have some take home.
You take
some
it to
homework.
go? You have a laptop?
Well, she was like, "Can you come in the office with me?" I was like, "Yes, Mommy." Walked in there like a little goober.
Oh, I think I killed at least 4 computers with LimeWire.
She was like, "What is this?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe it was Randy, who was my stepfather."
Immediately blamed it on your stepdad. Genius.
Yeah, it had to be Randy.
Genius.
Check his hard drive.
I was actually looking to confirm that Byard is a free agent, which he is.
Okay, very good.
It's on a 2-year deal in Chicago.
But his expectation was 3-14 until proven otherwise. I mean, even I'm more optimistic than that. Maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. But I don't know. I doubt that most Titans fans feel that way. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, we will wrap up the show coming up next. All right, you want to take phone calls? Or you want to talk about this tuna salad thing that you two were arguing about?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say to him. He knows he does this stupid. He does this on purpose.
So I sometimes succumb to viral recipes.
Sure.
I can be a sucker for like, oh, okay, I'll try that out. And Matthew McConaughey, in like podcast appearances and interviews, has gone viral a couple times with his tuna salad recipe. And he, it's all about the delivery with McConaughey. He does a great job like describing and making the sound effects. But he says you take some tuna salad and you get your mayo in there, a little bit of wasabi in the mayo, frozen peas, frozen corn,
apples,
chopped up apple, lemon juice squeeze, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, some pickles like gherkins chopped up, and a little bit of pickle juice as well.
Gherkins suck, but okay.
I made Robert do a pickleback with sweet pickle juice one time. I thought he was going to punch me in the throat.
That was the closest I've ever come to actually causing harm to you.
But
it's delightful.
This tuna salad recipe caught my eye because I am a tuna salad aficionado. I enjoy it. So I started making it, and it's fantastic. Now, the issue that Robert and I have is McConaughey very clearly, as a component to kind of top off this tuna salad,
not clear enough,
says that you take jalapeno chips, like kettle-cooked jalapeno chips.
Not like.
And crush them up. And
he doesn't say that, by the way.
Yes,
he doesn't
does.
say crush
Yes,
them
he
up.
does.
Yeah, he doesn't say crush them up. No, he doesn't.
Yes,
You're a
he
liar.
does.
You're a liar.
And Robert thinks he's talking about like sliced jalapenos.
Yes.
When he says jalapeno chips.
Oh,
Because
you mean
that-
like physical, like cut up jalapenos?
That makes infinitely more sense. Then
See, I think if McConaughey, no, I think I'm with Lucas on this because it's McConaughey, not because it's correct, Robert. I'm not disagreeing with you. I would also be in favor of chopped jalapeno chips as opposed to jalapeno flavored chips that are crunched up and sprinkled over the top. But I'm going to go like McConaughey's closer to Dan Orlovsky as far as his food taste goes, based on my understanding of this recipe that you're reading.
It comes together. I'm telling you.
Just hold on. Everybody just shut up for a second.
All right,
Let Matthew do it.
Lay out.
Hold on. Okay.
Is there an ad?
No, there's not an ad. I'm just dumb.
Clean out the fridge. Gonna make a badass tuna fish.
Okay, wait. I want to hear yours.
It starts with the base. You get your good tuna. Next, you got to watch how much lemon and vinegar you add, because if you add the mayo mixed with wasabi.
Okay, I'm scared they're going to cuss.
Yeah,
he does. He absolutely does. He just said, shut the bleep up.
Yeah.
Oh, he's.
That's McConaughey's appearance with Burt Kreischer and Tom, what's his name?
Segura.
Oh my God, this is very vulgar.
Oh yeah,
Why can't they just? That's my biggest issue with this is they never let the guests talk. Okay, crispy jalapeno chips. It gives it a little crunch. That's all he says.
Those are chips.
No, when you bite into a jalapeno, it has crunch, buddy. He doesn't do the hand motion that you did.
Nobody refers to sliced jalapenos as chips.
He would. If anybody would, it would be him. How else would he refer to pickled jalapeno slices?
No, I think they do. You can buy them, right? They come in a little. They come in a little jar. The jalapeno chips.
Listen,
like that are
turn your
not
mic
actual
on.
potato chips.
Turn your mic on with
he's
your
got his
mouth full of tuna fish.
Salad.
I'm
sure Dawn and Blaine would appreciate him spitting tuna salad over the microphone.
The thing that I don't have that he says he adds is agave, a little bit of agave. Like, oh, I like that. But it comes together. It does.
You're just goofy, dude.
I'm sure
Why
it's
would you
fine the way that you're doing it. I think Robert's way would be better.
Why would you
I'm sure it would.
Why would you add chips to something that is wet? That you made this yesterday, correct?
Well, no, you eat it within a span of time. Like that would be the finish, right? Like you don't, it's like granola when you have a parfait.
No, the finish are in the Olympics.
I did make this yesterday. Yes.
So the chips are all soggy that you added, right?
But it still adds that like kind of salty
no.
component.
Okay, now you've lost me
Yes,
because you
okay.
have to then bring the chips the day that you eat this, crunch them in real time to sprinkle them as the finish to your food. Like that's like eating a berry, like a fruit parfait, a yogurt parfait that has the granola mixed into it 3 days before. That granola is going to be soggy. It's going to be gross. It's like you're eating cold oatmeal.
I'm reading this recipe. Like it's laid out on all these websites.
But
McConaughey's
McConaughey
recipe.
did not write that. Someone else wrote it. So that's someone else's. It's like the King James Bible, dude.
Crushed
It's not the real thing.
Jalapeno chips. Crushed.
Okay, that's their interpretation of it, dude. I swear.
Don't do this before we go on vacation. Why do you want to fight with me at Cheesecake?
It's not a vacation. Don't you treat this work trip as a vacation.
We're about to go on show vacation and have a lot of fun, learn a lot, and you're just eating it. I can't stand you. Between the rosemary and this, dude, I don't even know who you are sometimes. Just take a call.
All right.
Talking about chips, damn it.
Dolphin is in Murfreesboro.
Kettle cooked.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing today?
Well, apparently not good. It's very contentious in the studio right now.
I can tell. I wanted to talk to y'all about Colorado Rockies prospect, Zach Veen. Speculation report. Steroid era is back. Dude's gained over 40 pounds of muscle in the offseason, supposedly. Don't know what the heck that is about.
Steroids.
So, yeah.
Okay. Why is your name Dolphin?
Well, let's just say that I told Bert Dalton, and he was like, Dalton? And I was like, what? He was like, Dalton? I was like, no, my name is Dalton. And we just had to laugh about it. Dude, Bert's like the funniest dude on the show. Lucas, you got a fat butt. Buck, you're awesome as heck. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Love y'all. Deuces.
I swear to God, he's
You got a fat butt.
The way he kind of paused.
But he wasn't sure. I think he was going to say, you got a fat ass.
That's going to be a promo right there.
Lucas, you got
Just
a
the
fat butt.
You got a lot. And I
You got
told
scared.
I told
You got
that
scared.
teacher, you got a lumpy butt. And then I peed myself.
I think we should start doing that to Lucas. I think we should start yucking his yum because now he's leaning into the fact that he has a very voluptuous tush.
It's adorable you think that this is the first time I've leaned into that. It's always been my best feature.
No. Now I think we should start doing to you what Robert just parroted from Talladega Nights, which is we start telling everybody you have a lumpy butt.
Yes. Concave.
Until you start to dress your tuna salad the proper way, you no longer have a nice butt. You have a lumpy butt.
If it makes you feel better to do that, that's fine, but we all know this to not be true.
Lucas?
USA and Canada are scoreless currently at intermission.
Okay.
While you're
Women's
Googling
hockey.
things, can you Google Rikishi?
Spell it.
Yeah.
Rikishi.
He's a wrestler.
Yes. That is what your butt looks like. Type in butt after Rikishi.
Ugh.
Go to images. Do you see all the dimples on that man's ass?
No, I don't want to type in butt.
Type in butt, dude.
Do it
What are
right
they going to
now.
do? What are they going to do?
Right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what your butt looks like. That's what it's like to walk behind you at Publix.
I think my rear end lives rent free, is what I think. Seems to constantly get brought up.
Pockets too fat, Rikishi.
Play some Pulse so we can go home. I'm hungry now. The amount of people commenting on this wrestler's butt that I've never heard of. It's crazy.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Did you even do the polls? Yeah, you did.
I sure did.
What was your main takeaway from Brian Dable's press conference? Mr. Focus says Cam and Borg, which is Robert Saleh's nickname for Mike Borgonzi. Borgo, my fault. Are magnets that draw in rather than repel, so the hate needs to stop. What is he talking about there? Cristoforo says that Dable is well calculated and ready to elevate Cam's growth as an NFL quarterback.
Better be.
Farah says that he is experienced. He does speak like he is a former head coach because he is one.
Yes.
What was your main takeaway from Gus Bradley's press conference? Oh, man, you got no replies on this.
I feel bad for him. Like, none of the Titans fans want to talk about Gus Bradley. They just want to talk about Dable.
They don't want to talk to you. Would you keep or cut Calvin Ridley this offseason?
How many replies on that?
Well, the amount of effort it would have taken you to just have an option on the poll of keep or cut, instead of me just reading like a couple replies. This guy says keep. This guy says cut.
Yeah,
we could have read percentages of a vote.
You're very overworked when you just spent 15 minutes talking about your tuna salad recipe.
Where would A.J. Brown most likely be traded to? Ravens, Browns, Pats, or Bills? So you did take the time to actually lay out some options here. 63% say the Pats. So the vast majority say New England.
Yeah, that feels right. All right, very good. Those are the polls?
Yep.
We appreciate you guys hanging out with us this afternoon. We will do the show tomorrow. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio will join us. We'll get a little combine preview in with him. Blaine and Zach are coming up next.